So, I wanted to talk about something that not a lot of people talk about. Um, uh, ooh, that's a fun sound. I want to talk about the whole dark night of the soul thing because I am currently going through one. And it is the third time that this has happened. The first time I didn't even realize what it was. I thought that it was just an extremely intense period of depression that just kind of kept getting worse instead of better. And yeah, the last time I knew what it was, I had a name for it, and I think that did help me, handle it better. But also, I don't, I obviously, I mean, whenever I got out of it, I knew I was out of it, and I knew that I hadn't done what I was meant to do during that period. And that ended not very long ago, to be honest, like a few months. And then, I mean, I don't know how, other people feel about astrology. I completely believe in astrology. That, yes, the planets absolutely do, in my opinion, have sway over your life, your emotions, things. I'm really not one of those people who's like, oh, like, it's predict the future. I don't think that you should predict the future, even if you can. But I do absolutely believe that it has potentially a lot of impact on your life. And I believe that you can use that to kind of like help guide you and help you go through things. Um, so, for anyone who doesn't know, there was a full moon, back at the end of the month, like super blue moon in Pisces, and my moon is in Cancer. So the moon does, I've noticed, have, quite a bit of sway over me. And the last full moon, and I think also just because it was, it was in, there was the Venus retrograde, and I'm a Taurus. Venus is my ruling planet. So I feel like these things all kind of came together in a very dramatic way for me, because there was, a fairly brief period where I was like a lot more comfortable kind of exploring my emotions and expressing them and like letting them just, you know, out in a way that I'm not used to, because I'm a thinker by nature. Like I don't, the way I interpret the world is through thinking and figuring it out logically. And the thing that I'm realizing, but have no clue how to deal with, is the fact that there are things in the world that you can't get through by thinking. And that's been a tough thing for me to handle. But during this fairly short period of time, I was, really delving into those emotions that I was having such a hard time handling otherwise. And I made a lot of realizations about myself. I kind of, I figured some things out. You know, I unearthed a lot of things that I had never even realized until then. And the problem with this is that whenever this period ended and I went back to thinking Lisa, all of those things that I had unearthed and, like, kind of brought up that I didn't realize before were still there. But I now had no clue how to deal with them because I'm back to thinking now. Like, thinking is what I do, and I don't really know how to utilize that, you know, emotion thing that's, really helpful with this kind of thing. And, yeah. And the thing is that, like I said, I did come across some realizations, and I realized there were a lot of things that I had convinced myself were true about myself, and now realized that they are not true. And it kind of just like upended a lot of, like, I can't honestly say that I had like a concrete direction that I was going before, but I had like a pretty good idea of what I wanted. And while I didn't know how to get there, I did know that, there's somewhere I want to be. Like, I just have to figure out how to get there, And now I'm like, I'm not actually really sure what I want anymore. And yeah, so it just, I mean, that's not even necessarily true. Because I do know, like, end goals. Like, I know, like, big, like, big, vague things, like, what I want, but I don't have any clue, like, how to break those things down into, like, actual things that I can achieve, or, like, any of that. Yeah. And so, yeah, like I said, I just ended a Dark Night of the Soul, like, a few months ago. And this has now, like, thrown me right back into another one. And I don't feel like I'm ready for that. I mean, I don't think I'll ever be ready for that. And everyone's like, oh, it's a gift. The universe is giving you a gift. And I'm like, this does not feel like a gift. I understand why it is, but also not really. you know? And the thing is that, like, oh, hello. What's he doing? Want to say hi? Okay. Yeah, what was I saying? I'm very easily distracted. But yeah, one of the things that the last time I went through this, that I was thinking a lot, and I did not act on it because, well, it's scary as hell, but, like, oh, hello again. Yeah. But I think that okay. Anyway, I was saying that the last time I went through this, I definitely felt like I should be sharing it. And I didn't do that for obvious reasons. I mean, during that period, I did a lot of, like, looking into it, where people are talking about, but what you'll notice is that more often than not, they're not really actively sharing their experience as they're going through it. I mean, you might, like, find some forum posts where people are talking about it, but it's really like anything in life, it's like you don't want to talk about like the nitty gritty dirty crap that led to like the breakthrough or the like, finished piece or whatever, because that's like, that's not cute or pretty or appealing at all. So I think like a lot of times people just kind of, they just kind of, glide over it like, yeah, this is the thing that happens, but let's not talk too much about that. Let's talk about the after effects. Yeah. And okay. And I don't really see a lot of people talking about, what's happening while it's happening, you know. And I feel like that is something I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm not sure how I'm even going to do that. Like, I mean, I guess I'm doing that now, but it's just like you always, and like I think I get even like why. Because it's like you see these spiritual people and they're all like light and sunshine and happiness, and you got to raise your vibration if you're not feeling good, and there's like almost this idea where it's like it's acknowledged sometimes that there is, there are things you have to go through. Like people like to talk about shadow work, oh, you have to go through like these things, you have to like really dive deep, but it's like the little like subtext at the bottom of the car ad where the person's like smiling and happy holding the keys to their brand new car, but like you don't get to read all the crap that you really don't want to know about to get the car. They're the keys to that car, like, and I feel like that's what this is, and I feel like a lot of times it's really, really misrepresented. Like it's just gonna be like a couple little bumps in the road and then you're gonna be happy and positive. And I think what happens here, because this is actually kind of how I've felt a lot of the time, is that because how difficult this is, how painful it can be, when people are going through it, they think there's something wrong with them because no one told them how incredibly fucking difficult it is. And it is. I'm sorry for the record if my language upsets you, but yeah, no. Sometimes fuck is the right word. So I'm using it. I apologize if that makes you uncomfortable. But I will not apologize for using it. But yeah. And the thing is that when you're going through this, you think, oh, like maybe I have like too much darkness, or there's just too much, like I'm never going to be that like sunny, happy, light person that I'm supposed to be. And I wonder maybe if a lot of times people are basically playing fake it till you make it and are just pretending to be those happy, sunshiny, bright people because, well, that's what I'm supposed to be. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't absolutely 100% strive to be that and like actively, consciously incorporate more of that into your everyday. But if you were just using that as a mask to cover up the things that you should be actually dealing with, that's not helpful. That's not helpful either. And I suspect that there are a lot of people doing that. And that's not going to help. And that's why I think that I'm supposed to be doing this. Because somebody needs to just be like candid and be like, yeah, this really sucks. And there's nothing wrong with you. Because, everyone grows at their own pace. Everyone learns at their own pace. If it takes you longer than someone else, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that you have more to deal with, or you're dealing with it slower. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And I know what it feels like to feel like that is exactly like that there's something wrong with you because you're not getting where you're supposed to be. And I don't want other people feeling that way. Like, I don't want people feeling like they're alone, that they have to like pretend to be something they're not because they're not what they're supposed to be. So I am going to talk about this really awful, painful thing as I go through it, and I'm probably gonna be sharing way more than I should. And I think that's really the reason this is happening to me, is that I'm meant to share it. And I think that, I hope that it will help people who are in a similar situation realize that they're really not alone in it, and that there's nothing wrong with them, that they just need to, everyone just needs to do what you need to do at the pace you need to do it. And it's okay if you're, like angry and pessimistic and dark and like in pain. I think that might all be all.